just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to an Origin review. That's right. A massive thank you to Guru and Matty for turning up. I was a bit worried there for a second. The boys, look, it would sting to turn up. I remember when we got absolutely towed up. It was tough turning up. Also, Broncos lost the grand final last night. It was tough. But before we get into it, huge announcement. McDonald's has come on board to partner with Bloke in a Bar to celebrate their brand new McSmart meal. What's this McSmart meal? It is your choice of 2 small burgers, so a small cheeseburger or a small chicken and cheeseburger, a small soft drink, and a small fries for $6.95. Unbelievable deal. So a massive thank you to McSmart. Guru, what's a McSmart decision that you're making today, mate?
Mate, I was about to say the chicken and cheese is a little CBA of mine.
It is. It's
underrated.
Underrated. Flies on the radar because you got your classics in the cheeseburger. That's a classic. That's a timeless burger. But the chicken and cheese goes all right. What's your McSmart decision today?
Can I just say, I actually got the McSmart last night because after the game, I got a McSmart meal and I also got a M&M McFlurry. And I was actually saying to Guru on the way in. So I left the house I was at, got my McFlurry, got my McSmart meal, sat down and we started watching Schitt's Creek. And I'm just one hand like scooping up my McFlurry. The next hand, I'm like furiously just texting and looking at tweets and reading comments so badly that Courtney grabbed my phone, put it on Do Not Disturb, and said, that's it for the rest of the day. And I was like, fair enough.
As we say, doesn't matter how silly life gets, going to Maccas is always a smart decision.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it really helped.
If you're going to make a decision, make it McSmart. Now, Roo, how are you feeling, mate? As a Blues fan, what's the overarching feeling after the game last night, mate?
Yeah, it was a tough night at the office. Obviously the send-off to some extent decided this game, but I personally thought it was a send-off. I understand the argument of people, well, I'm sure we'll talk about this for the next 2 hours. It's Origin football, there shouldn't be send-offs, but I mean, like, it's still the same sport. Like, that has been a send-off for me in rugby league for the last 3 years. Would it have been a send-off 10 years ago? No, and I get that. And I know people don't like that, but like, as soon as it happened, I went, okay, that's a send-off.
I think,
like, there was no doubt in my mind whatsoever.
Yeah, I feel, look, I understand, like, look, Origins, you get so passionate. Blues fan, Queensland fan, I get it. So first of all, I want to empathise with people that are frustrated at the decision and feel like it cost New South Wales a game. But I do feel most people watching that, their initial thought was, oh shit, that's probably a send-off.
Yeah.
And then emotion kicks in and you start to look for excuses as to why it's not. Or not excuses, but reasons as to why it's not, so you can be like, well, that cost us and it was a tough call. Look, I get you. I agree with you in regards to, look, it's Origin. And yeah, we do let things go to a degree in Origin. But it was direct contact to the head. It was incredibly dangerous. Suaalii made the choice to fly in, which made it reckless. Now, people will try to point to him slipping. If you're going back and watch the footage, he did slip, but it didn't actually lower his head height. His head height was already being lowered to plan on his right foot to pass the ball. I think, look, if that's not a send-off in Origin, like when it comes to tackling, like what could be a send-off then? Because everyone's going to look to it and go, okay, well, it's, you had Selwyn Cobbo on the bench, he come on, Hammer went to fullback, Queensland were all good. But that's only because Billy Slater risked having it outside back on the bench. If we had lost our fullback, imagine this world, we lose Reece Walsh for the whole game and Suaalii only goes for 10 minutes. We'd be sitting there going, well, hang on a sec.
And imagine this world if it's James Tedesco that gets knocked out and we lose him for the game. And well, let's say it's the direct opposite. It's Val Holmes that puts that shot on Teddy. We lose him for the entire game. Means we have to probably move Critter to fullback. Means we're playing a back row at centre all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Val Holmes comes back on after 10 minutes. If we get carved up in that game, I guarantee you people are going, why the fuck wasn't that a send-off? It's been a send-off every game for the last 3 years.
Yeah,
like
I think it's been pretty clearly a send-off for at least 3 years.
It's brutal. It sucks. It happened in the absolute apex event in our game, but it is what it is.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Matty? I know Matty's got a different opinion on this one.
Yeah, I was... In my heart of hearts, I know how bad the tackle was, and it's been given grade 2 reckless. I actually thought he might get a grade 3 careless, purely because you say he didn't sleep. I think he was pretty low. I get the argument, but besides the 2 send-offs last year, because it was in the last second, we haven't really seen send-offs in Origin for bad tackles. Like, I know you're right. 10 years ago, Luke O'Donnell put Darius Boyd in his head, and it was barely a penalty. But because we haven't seen it in this arena forever. I just assumed, all right, he's going to get 10 here. And I thought, unfortunately, this is now a line in the sand moment because now we're going to see Origin send-offs. I didn't think it should be a send-off because I just think the arena's too big. I thought 10 would have been fine. I thought you make that point about if it happened to New South Wales, but the 18th man can be activated. Like I know it's not ideal, but you know, Felice Kafusi got to come on the field. So yeah, it's ruined the whole game, to be honest. Like it changed the whole game, put it that way.
Was it the call that ruined the game, or was it Suaalii doing something reckless and getting it wrong that ruined the game?
I have no doubt. Like, I know the tackle was bad, and it's a send-off every day of the week in round 3 or round 4, you know, in club footy. And I know the tackle's worth a send-off. Because we hadn't seen it before, I just assumed nothing like that would be a send-off in Origin. I just thought in Origin, unless you do what Gordon Tallis did, which was call the ref a cheat, fair enough, send-off. Do what Trent Waterhouse did, third man in, dog shot, send-off. That's all we've really seen. So that's why I was shocked it was a send-off.
Well, do you now you alluded to setting a precedent there in regards to now those send-offs can happen for tackles like that. What about the opposite precedent that if you don't send him off, you just send blokes out to fly out of line to absolutely flatten blokes, and if it goes wrong, you go, okay, it's only 10 in the bin. You know, we'll be sweet. Like for example, would it be worth taking out Reece Walsh and only getting 10 in the bin? Like, would it be worth looking at their bench and going, okay, where do they not have cover? Like, let's take out their key player there. Because that's the opposite precedent that could be set if you weren't to punish that kind of tackle the way it, in my opinion, should be punished.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And as I said, in my heart of hearts, I know how bad the tackle was. It was a shocker. I don't know if he'll fight it because...
He won't fight it. He won't fight it.
Yeah, like I thought he'd get careless. It's grade 2 reckless, which is a pretty big charge. It was bad. It's just that we haven't seen it before. So that's why when it happened, I was like, ooh, my initial thought was send off because that's what I'm used to in NRL. But then I thought, all right, it's Origin. He's not going to get sent. I know how bad the tackle was. It was a shocker. So it just shocked me that he got sent in Origin in the 7th minute.
And there is part of me that understands where Matty's coming from. And I get it because... You know, it's Origin football. We put it on this fucking pedestal that it is just above everything else, and you look forward to it all year. You only get 3 shots at it a year. You want it to be the best possible game it can be. But you also know what the rules are. And you make your own bed, which is... I hate that, but...
Look, and I think also, like I understand people's frustration of, like, yes, the ref's call was a crucial call that changed things. But, like, Suaalii, like, let's be fair to me. He was flying in to try and put as much pain on Reece Walsh as possible. Like, there was intent to hurt legally. So that's where the reckless nature comes part. If you're going to fly in like that to shoot in and blindside someone, and I mean, that's why Reece Walsh, he puts the brakes on and begins to slip because he's just realised someone's come flying in. You better get it right. And that's the risk that comes with that play in today's game. You know, yeah, a few years ago, obviously that's not a send-off. But in today's game, I also think that I understand, like, Origin is a huge part of the game. I get that. But I look at Reece Walsh, how many more of them can he take before his career's over? We've currently got Kalen Ponga and Tedesco that have already had questions of their careers should be cut short. I mean, it was only last year where Kalen Ponga was, like, this close, an inch to being out of our game.
I think you said it before the show, and I agree with it. The longer this goes, the more people are probably going to agree it's a send-off. And I reckon in 2034, I'm going to look back on this as I look back on shoulder charges and punching 10 years ago, where at the time I was like, how on earth can you outlaw, how on earth can that be a sin bin? Like, how on earth, like, that is ridiculous. But now you're like, okay, that's the way the game's going.
See, that's where, you know, for example, if there's a punch on, I'd be happy, like, if it's a punch on, not much lands or whatever, and like, I'd be happy for it to just go penalty either way, whoever started it. But the thing with the Suaalii tackle, that is like, the danger of that going wrong and the long-term damages that could have caused, I just think you've got to be... I think the further we get away from the call and the less emotion involved, I think the more people are going to go, you know what, that was hectic. Like,
it was a bad tackle.
Like, I cannot express enough, like, we've got Suaalii 105 to 108 kilos, sprinting in whilst Reece Walsh is sprinting towards him, and the first point of contact was his point of his shoulder directly on his head. Like, that is crazy dangerous. And so I just think, look, put it this way. If Suaalii was going to make a normal tackle and you looked at it and go, he was just making a normal tackle. He wasn't trying to pull a shot off. He wasn't trying to jam in from the outside. He was coming in from the outside and he was just trying to wrap the ball up. And then he hit him high. That's where I'd go, yeah, like you can look at it and go, definitely shouldn't be a send-off because he's just trying to make a tackle. It's the reckless intent, which is okay, but you need to land it. That's what changes it from 10 in the bin to a send-off, in my opinion.
And people won't like this, but gives a fuck. I think the ref deserves some applaudance because that's a big decision to make. He knew he was deciding an Origin game in that moment, and I'm sure there would have been plenty before him that would have probably gone to a sin bin or something. I think it was a ballsy call.
But at the same time, Guru, we applaud Adam G for reffing the grand final differently. Like, I would have applauded Ashley Klein for giving him 10 in the bin because that's the occasion. That's what it is.
I know you very well, Matthew. Had Hudson Young had to go to centre last night and we get carved by Reece Walsh, I think you feel differently about it.
Yeah, I think if this had been New South Wales having to put a forward to the to a centre position, and you lost not just like a normal Tedesco, you lost Tedesco at the peak of his powers. We're talking Tedesco 10 out of 10 winning Origin games, because that's where Reece Walsh is right now. I think you'd be like, mate, we just lost our key player, and it was reckless, direct to the head. I get your argument and go, Adam G reffing the game differently. Adam G?
Yeah, Adam G.
I don't know why. It sounds weird to me. I get that, but that doesn't... I think there's a space between reffing the game differently and allowing extremely dangerous acts to occur without appropriate punishment. So
yeah, fair enough. That didn't happen. There was nothing like that in the grand final.
Yeah, like reffing the game differently is, okay, not giving away six again calls constantly, which we saw last night. I think it was like 2 or 3, and then I think there was like 2 or 3 penalties. So you're looking at about 5 each, which is pretty good. So look, I understand New South Wales fans or even Queensland fans that like are extremely passionate about this. I get the argument. Origin is a spectacle, and you could suggest that, you know, that situation ended the game for New South Wales. But I just think, like, as I said, we have been so vocal about taking care of the players for 3 or 4 years now in regards to head knocks. I just don't see how you could allow that to just go, oh, you know what, we'll let that go to the keeper, 10 in the bin, because that, in my opinion, sets a bad precedent. Because, okay, what if Queensland come out in game 2 and go, all right, we're looking for redemption, and just fucking start flying out of the line and completely flatline New South Welshmen, and they go, we'll only get 10 in the bin. Because, like, what's crazy is the way New South Wales played last night, if that was only 10 in the bin, they would have covered that because they played so well. They were so gritty. And so it would have been pretty much a good trade for them to get Reece off the field and only send Suaalii for 10 because they would have been willing to defend that 10 minutes.
I don't think that moment fits in. And I get what you're saying about refereeing games differently, but I think in play, there are little things you can referee differently in Origin. But I think a moment like that... I personally think it just is what it is.
Yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, "That's a send off. It's a send off." And I know I've seen people like try to lean into the slip argument that he was slipping. If you go back and watch it, and I've watched it a million times, the slip doesn't lower his head much at all. Like we're talking, maybe it lowers his head 2 or 3 centimeters, like nothing. So, and I recommend going back and watching it, guys, in slow mo and looking at his head height before he puts his scuds in the ground and begins to slip. It doesn't drop as much as people are saying. And I do think that, as I said, Suaalii, if we're being fair dinkum, he would have been told, you see Reece Walsh out the back and you can get a good shot on him, I want you to absolutely, like if you can hit him so hard through the middle that he gets taken off, do it. And so he's gone out there with the intent, the intent to hit, to pull off a big shot. It's just gone horribly wrong. Like, here's an example. Liam Martin did the same thing. Look how low he got. Like he was almost like under the ball nearly. And I think that if you're going for that hit in today's game, you got to get super, super low, super low.
There's part of me like I do feel bad for Suaalii as
sure.
well.
For sure.
And I was just saying to Matty before, like as a Blue, I hate that in my opinion, it did sort of decide that game and whatnot. But fuck, I was glad to see Suaalii have a moment like that in a moment where he is just trying to make an impact. Like, I love that Suaalii didn't hide away from the moment. He at least fucking went at it and had a red hot crack. And yeah, I hope the Blue, I'm sure they will, but I hope they're getting around him because fuck, there'd be a lot of head noise.
Oh,
coming
it'd
off
be
the back
massive
of
head
that.
noise. Massive head noise. No, and before that, he looked like he was about to have a fucking monster of a game.
Well, mate, that's the
Suaalii.
thing. He looked great. He
yeah.
looked like, and I think, and we'll talk about it as the day goes on, but like a lot of the guys that Madge picked that we had question marks over, in the minutes they were on the game or when they were on the field, they looked fucking good.
They look good. Yeah, I think mostly Madge got it right. There's probably a few things that we will talk about later in the show where we go probably got that one wrong. Did see Madge say, he said, I've got to go and have a look at it again. But, Reece Walsh broke his jaw earlier this year and that wasn't a send-off. I was a bit surprised that he said that because, that was a head clash. So that was, that wasn't the point of his shoulder. That was an accidental head clash that goes wrong. Now, if you make the argument, Suaalii accidentally hit him in the head with his shoulder, it's like, guys, come on. Like, head clashes are quite different to points of shoulder.
I hope Matt just got that one wrong because
maybe he hasn't seen the replay as much.
Like surely, because you can't compare them two.
They're not even close. They're not even close. Billy Slater, he basically said he's going to keep his thoughts to himself, but then the reporter said, then he said to the reporter, what do you think? Did you think it was a send-off? And the reporter said yes. And then Billy Slater kind of nodded his head, and then the reporter said, well, what do you think? He said, oh, mate, they care what you think. And obviously it made a bit of light about it. But Billy Slater did look, and this is purely, just a speculation, but he did look like a guy that, for me personally, my takeaway was that he was quite angry about the situation. Grant, obviously, his fullback's just been taken out. But also I got the feeling that, he may have felt like Reece Walsh was targeted. Now, not targeted to intentionally head high him, but as in they were trying to pull off a massive shot, and if they could get him out of the game, they could. They would. So, which is understandable. There's no, do we all agree? Surely Madge went out and said, as soon as Reece Walsh gets the ball, fucking absolutely.
Yeah, but if Madge didn't say that, I'd be disappointed.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But I think some people
when
may
it goes wrong, though, it's
exactly.
Yeah.
But there was intent to hurt there, just legally.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was intent to hurt that was legal, but it became illegal with the shoulder to the head. Guys, as I said, more than happy to hear your opinions. Keep it respectful, obviously. I understand it's Origin, super, super passionate. Would love to hear your thoughts on the call.
Last thing, God is tough on the Roosters. He doesn't even get suspended for him. He doesn't even. He's not even. He's getting 4 weeks, and it's not even in their colours. That's rough.
You feel sorry for the Roosters, Dan?
Yeah. No, I don't feel sorry. I don't care.
I respect you so much for saying that.
Yeah, wow.
But it's rough.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it's just
what-
part
it
of
is
the
what it
game.
is,
It
yeah.
is what it is. You start, tinkering with Origin in regards to players being released or getting suspended. You look what happened with the AFL. As soon as the club got too much power and said, why are we releasing players to an Origin game? Their Origin game got canned in the AFL. So it's one of those necessary evils, in my opinion, for Origin.
Yeah. They'll find it international, the Chooks.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine in regards to depth. Yeah, so look, regardless, disappointing in regards to both teams. I don't even think Queensland, they would want to win with everyone full strength, with no send-off. So obviously they'd be happy with the win. Let's not pretend fucking not. But I think that from a pure spectacle perspective, obviously disappointing. I don't think Suaalii, had any intent to intentionally head high him. I think I want to make that extremely clear. I don't think anyone that's being reasonable would say Suaalii was intentionally trying to head high Reece Walsh. Fair? Agreed?
Yeah, no,
For
100%.
sure.
I saw a few people on social media last night call it a targeted attack. It's a tackle that happens in a split second that went wrong.
And the only thing targeted about it was, as I said, targeted legally. His intent would be to legally, if he could legally take him, hit him so hard that he's winded and he has to be taken off or something like that. Yeah, that's literally rugby league. If you think those conversations aren't happening in regards to you see Reece Walsh out the back, I want you to go so hard through his middle that he can barely breathe. That's absolutely those conversations having. But the key is it's all legal. I don't think at any second Suaalii wanted to hit Walsh in the head.
He's not that kind of player. The only thing he's done in his career was right at the start when he might have run with his knees up.
That was just a habit thing. I don't think that's intentional.
Besides that, he's a pretty clean player. There's not at all.
The Blues came in with tactics like that, we're not picking Gerbo as our captain.
Yeah, exactly. So, if there's anyone still thinking that, guys, there's no way. Because you got to remember, Suaalii's also a rugby league player. He wouldn't want the opposition going, hey, let's head high Suaalii, take him out. It's more, there would be direction from the coaches within the rules, cleanly. If you can hit him as hard as you can and he doesn't want to run the ball again, let's do that. But I don't think that he intentionally went for the head.
I don't know how Suaalii's career plays out or whatever. It could be a wild story where he ends up or whatever, but I would like to see him one day get another shot.
Mate, he's got... Look, great contract with rugby, all that stuff. I've always been of the mind I think that they should both go, you know what, let's not do it. But that's... Who am I to speak for Suaalii? I don't know how it will go, but, like, bro... You've got a taste of origin now. This could be your career for the next, 10 years. Come back. Like, you're not going to feel... Unless you go over to Europe, like rugby in Europe is incredible and all that. But in Australia, to go from origin to where Union is right now, like, it might be... That paycheck might be cool initially. And what's funny is, like, you can get essentially the same paycheck here. Like, yeah, okay, $400,000 or $500,000 less, but $1 million is still fucking heaps of money. I think after the first 10 rounds of playing in front of, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful Union fans, but I'm just speaking facts, playing in front of like a few thousand people, after experiencing that, I think we're going to find Suaalii back in the game pretty soon.
In a weird way, he's not getting picked for game 2 because he's suspended. He might not be there for game 3. Maybe getting sent off could make him even hungrier to stay in footy, to stay in NRL and play Origin.
So I do feel for Suaalii. I do. Like... Imagine the head noise. Now he's put up a post, Instagram post. Mixed emotions. Disappointed. Let my brothers, fam, and state down. Blessed and honoured to put the Blues jersey on. So, it's even, Suaalii's even kind of, he understands that he tried to make a big hit and he got it wrong, So, hopefully he's all good, but he's a professional athlete. He'll bounce back. And mainly, hopefully Reece Walsh is all good. Now, just want to clear up some things. Sideline commentary, I don't know where they got it wrong, but they didn't really make it clear as to what really happened. This is what happened with Reece Walsh, because I've seen some really strange comments around Reece Walsh. Like, he gets knocked out cold. You can see it, he's out. So the independent doctor can make a call that he's seen signs of a Category 1 concussion because he's out cold, his hands are stiff, all that stuff. He then wakes up, he gets taken off the field. Now, he's already been ruled out. Regardless of what happens, he's already been ruled out for a minimum 11 days. Now, he goes back in. He passes. Now, on the sideline, they said he has passed his HIA test. I think what would have been more clear is he's passed his cognitive test or, whatever they call it.
It's called the SCAT. I know it's a weird word, but SCAT6 assessment.
Yeah, and so that doesn't mean that he's passed his HA and he can go back out there. What it just means is that he's already shown signs of Category 1, but miraculously, he did well enough to pass the test, but he's already failed the main parts of the test, which was being out completely cold and showing signs of a Category 1 concussion. So a little bit confusing, like, he's already passed, he can go back out there, but he didn't go back out there. There's multiple ways that you don't pass your HIA test. And one of those ways that you can't pass the HIA test overall is the signs of a Category 1 concussion. And also concussion is a very nebulous kind of symptom or situation for a person. You can get a concussion and have and be sweet and then wake up the next morning and have delayed concussion symptoms. So like, for example, Walsh could pass the test. So he could wake up the next morning and have delayed concussion symptoms as well. So it's very nebulous. We don't have like that much of a good understanding of how concussion works, at least the symptoms of it. So just wanted to clear that up. He didn't pass his HIA. He'd already failed it. He just passed his cognitive test.
Nebulous, a good word.
Nebulous.
He'll miss...
Caught me a few times. That was good.
His next game will be Origin 2 because he's the next game is against Sharks. It's in a few days, and the game after that is still within the 11 days. And then there's the next.
So
Origin.
there's another argument for it. Is like now Queensland are in a situation where they might not even be able to pick Reece Walsh because he's been out for 2 weeks,
and the Bronx miss him for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
might not pick Reece Walsh.
Seriously, you don't know for sure. Well, you reckon they pick him off no games over 2 weeks? There's a chance they wouldn't.
Seriously?
There's a chance, 100%.
Fuck, I'd be picking him in a heartbeat. Wouldn't worry me.
What do you reckon, mate? Am I talking crazy? Or
I think
what?
you're being crazy.
I think heaps
really?
crazy.
Yeah,
Mate,
I think you'll be picked for sure.
Yeah, I'd be picking him without a doubt.
Yeah, I think you'd have to pass a fitness test for sure before going back out there after a knockout like that. Holy heckers. I definitely think he'd need a fitness test before you like 100. I wouldn't lock him in until he's passed his fitness test coming back. That's a big knock. Like, we're talking out cold, hands like that. Fuck. He broke his jaw earlier in the year. So what's that? That would have been his second. Was that a concussion? He got HIA'd? Yeah, he got HIA'd.
He got HIA'd for that, yeah.
He couldn't come back on because his eye was all fucked up.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be looking for him to pass a fitness test before I select him. Now, like, if he passes a fitness test, he's fucking in the side.
We'll see you in Melbourne, Racy.
Okay, let's get into the game, shall we? Queensland, they win 38-10. Bit of a strange one for New South Wales fans because, if I'm being honest, I thought that they showed a ton of grit and there were heaps of good things to take away from that game from New South Wales, and they absolutely had opportunities to score points. And, like, look, in hindsight, yeah, once the send-off happened, it was going to be extremely difficult to win the game. But I felt like New South Wales did actually put themselves in a position to win the game by showing a ton of grit. I think there's a lot of good things to take away from New South Wales. I think there are maybe 3 or 4 things that we'll talk about that I think need to be changed for game 2. I think there's a lot of positives to take away from this.
Yeah, and I think I would just like to point out from the start, like the Maroons won this 38 points to 10. It's just, for me, there's not all that many talking points out of the Maroons. They did what they had to do.
I think the only talking point is really they didn't play that well.
They weren't great. They still won 38 points to 10, and for full credit to them. But I think, all the talking points are around the New South Wales Blues, what they do moving forward. And I think that there was times in that game, personally as a New South Wales fan, where I was almost more excited than I have been in the last 10 years. Watching, that 20 minutes after half-time where they had no right to be in that game whatsoever. And we were playing proper Origin footy. And that's, as I said off the top, some of the guys he picked, Lomax, Spencer Leniu, who came in and, if you were given no context whatsoever last night about Zach Lomax's career and you were told that he's a guy that can lose you a game at any moment with a poor offload or something like that, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah,
you wouldn't. Just what we saw last night was so good from Lomax. What we saw from Spencer Leniu, I wouldn't have picked Spencer Leniu in my side originally, but he went out last night, he absolutely killed it. And I think he's locked himself into teams moving forward.
Oh, I tell you what, agree with Spencer Leniu, especially, agree with Zach Climax, especially in the second half. I thought Climax was absolutely outstanding. Spencer Leniu, he's like, I also wouldn't have had him in the side, not because we didn't. I think we all agreed if he does what we know he can do, he'll be great for the Blues. Yep. But he's only played 2 games. There are other guys that are playing good footy. But I think after his performance last night, he's almost locked himself into a jersey because he can play a role. Who else can play that role for New South Wales as well as he can?
And I think with players, you pick guys and, all you want them to do is what they say they're going to do on the box. Yep. And I think when it comes to Origin, the guy you pick off the bench is going to break the game open and have impact. It's so much fucking harder than what it sounds. Yeah. He genuinely came on and did it 3 times.
Yeah, it was honestly, if you could have scripted exactly what you want Spencer Leniu to do, you couldn't have even scripted. You would have said, okay, he won't be that impactful. Like he'll be pretty impactful because it's Origin. Mate, he was an absolute menace in the middle, and you could see Queensland kind of going like, "Fuck, how do we defend this bloke?"
What about that play that he had where he got the ball and he jinked to run 3 or 4 times, and like Queensland just sat on their heels and were like,
what do we do?
Normally it is just get up and belt. Yep. They were sitting on their heels with him because he had the better of them in those moments.
And he earned a penalty that play as well. Yes, so he stood there, and then when he finally decided to run, I think they got him high. He was so good.
I think quite often as New South Wales, I think we give too much respect to Queensland sometimes. I didn't see that with him.
Yeah. The toughest part about his career will be like riding the red line.
Yep.
That'll be it. That'll be his biggest challenge because it's not explosiveness. It's not play the balls that are quick. It's not winning contact. It's not making an impact. It'll be making sure, because basically what will happen now from Queensland's perspective is okay, we need to target him. We need to niggle him. We need to he's so good physically. How can we get into his head mentally?
Yeah.
It'll be, little things here and there, obviously all legal, nothing illegal. It'll be making sure when you do get a shot on him, you make sure you take it. If there are some open ribs free where he's just standing in a tackle, you make sure you take it because that'll be really the only, outside of obviously drop balls. Like let's say he holds the ball, doesn't drop the ball. It'll be really just making sure he doesn't cross that red line. I mean, I know they're different type of players. Similar is to the Gordy Tallis, like just making sure he doesn't see red too much.
Yeah, and he's going to see red at some point, and it's probably going to cost us at some point. But that's where Madge Maguire and New South Wales need to go, no, we know we're taking that risk with this guy. And, you know, I didn't agree with it last year when they picked Tavita Pangai Jr., for example, but he threw an offload to the ground and Freddie went, oh, get him off. Like, no. You're going to play with fire. You're going to get burnt sometimes. It's going to happen with Spencer eventually, but he's also got moments like that in him. Yeah. You're probably going to get more of that realistically.
Well, I think that, you know, it's similar to Reece Walsh where if he throws a crazy cut-out ball and it goes over the sideline, it's like we picked him knowing that he will do that and we're willing to defend it.
100%.
Because the ones that he gets right, he'll get really right. And it's similar to Spencer Linu. There's going to be a time he's probably going to get sent 10 to the bin or do something crazy. As a team, you've got to be like, that's part of the beauty of Spencer Linu is that he fights fire with fire. He's going to go out there and rip and tear. And for every silly penalty he gives away, he's probably going to give you 3 hectic games of impact off the bench.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Matty?
When I watched the game yesterday, I think it was you, Denon, said Spencer Leniu could be New South Wales' best player. I agreed, he was right up there. I was beyond shocked when I looked at the stats and he only played 23 minutes. Beyond shocked. Looking at the stats now, he had the same amount of runs as Payne Haas. The amount of work that he just decided to get through as the specialist prop, he just did exactly what he had to do. I thought he was fantastic. I did have him in my team. I was kind of hoping we'd see the best out of him. I knew what the risk was, and it's a risk that paid off in one game. So I hope we get to see that in game 2 and 3. But he was fantastic. He was so good.
I will say I did find it interesting. He got taken off for a HIA, and then around the time that you would normally take him off, and then he got brought back on. That you don't use an interchange when you use a HIA, correct?
No. Unless you fail.
So
obviously.
I would hope that that's not being used incorrectly, because HIAs for me is just something we can't play with. I know coaches always look for ways to bend things or whatever, but I would hope that that's not the case, because HIAs I think we need to be very, very firm on.
Yeah, I don't think Magic do that.
Yeah, I hope he wouldn't, because that would be disappointing. As I said, there's one area we shouldn't be messing with, and it's HIA situations. Everything else, I understand where coaches can bend the rules, but
I thought it was a really good shout in commentary last night. I'm not sure who said it. I'm pretty sure it was one of the Queenslanders that said it, but comparing him to the late great Carl Webb.
Carl
Webb used to have those moments as well. Like you go back and we all talk about that Origin moment with Luke Bailey and how good it was. Like, Carl Webb gave away 2 penalties in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and we loved
But it turned the game on its head.
Yeah. Yep.
It's the same as, I'm sure Matty can talk more about it, but a couple of years ago when South won that comp, Ben Teo in the semi-final.
Oh, seriously.
Gave away a penalty, but it turned the game on its head.
He came on the field. He'd been out for 5 weeks because he had a chicken wing suspension. So the prelim final was his game. South had choked the last 2 prelims, so huge pressure. Down 12.
5 weeks for a chicken wing.
Yeah,
Holy
it was crazy.
shit.
He come on the field. I think it was Maloney gets the ball.
Yep.
Teo just dog shots him like so dumb. And then Sam Burgess is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And Teo was like, "That's what I'm here for. I'm here for you boys." And apparently that G'd the boys up, and Teo had the game of his life.
That's what I'm here for. That's so good. So Spencer Leniu, he was unbelievable. So we'll go through New South Wales first and obviously go through Queensland. I think Robson was absolutely phenomenal. I think that it depends how you view the game. You could go, although New South Wales had someone sent off, Michael Maguire picked the perfect team for what they needed, which was backs against the wall, nothing's going right, a 4-forward bench, just hold the middle. So you could look at it like that, or you could look at it like, geez, when Suaalii went off, they could have used Burton in the centres and pulled off a forward. So I don't know. As I said, I really do feel like it's where you view it from as to did he get his bench right or wrong. Guru, what do you reckon?
It's so hard to judge.
You know what I mean? It really is, because you could make the argument that by losing, playing sent off, you want more forwards to just say, just go around us. Just go around us.
And that was my exact reaction. And it's weird, we spoke about on the live show last night that Madge his bench was here, Billy Slater's bench was here. He had a winger and a hooker on his bench. He had 4 forwards. Reece Walsh goes up third. You go, oh, thank God we've got Cobbo. But I go, like, fuck, we got 4 middle forwards to try and compete with this. So, which I could not have possibly imagined a universe where I walked away from that game when I was actually happy with how both benches ended up, based on how he talked about it during the week. But yeah, I still think I'm not going 4 forwards next game.
Yeah, I think the fact that they moved Critter across to that side would suggest to me that they probably wish they had have had a centre on the bench.
I just think Jake 29
Sorry,
minutes.
not a centre, a utility.
Jake 29 minutes, McInnes 48 minutes, Yo 47 minutes, Hamole 23, Spencer 23, Young 23. That's 5 forwards. You can get 4 forwards out of that and put a utility on the bench.
Yeah.
That for me. I think Burton has to be their game too. Or someone has to be their game too.
So I think game 2 you will probably see that he carries a utility. I think, and if Connor Watson is good to go, I think he lands that spot.
You go Watson over Birdo?
Watson has to play a game, obviously. I can't just pick him off no game time. I probably go Watson just because he can cover more bench spots, and I keep Birdo at 18th man. I know Bulldogs fans will be like, "You're kidding me!" No, but I either or I'd be happy with. But okay, let's get to talk about some other players' performances. Lomax, that second half, especially that second half, like he obviously got bumped by Selwyn. I think in that situation, okay, yes, it is Origin, but like Selwyn's a big boy, bro. Like he has bumped some pretty big fellas. Outside of that, Lomax, especially his second half, was absolutely incredible. And it is, I said before the show, isn't it interesting that like we heard so much from the greats of our game about Lomax, and it just didn't seem to marry up to what he was doing at club before this year. But when the greats say something and they can see something, it usually they usually are seeing things that we can't see.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. Like, okay, yes, they can get it wrong. They're not always right. But when they are so firm on a guy like Lomax, clearly they could see something, because I thought he was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, he was, man. He just looks so comfortable in the Origin arena, and I know it's a small sample size and whatever, but it's when you're down to 12, it doesn't get all that much tougher than that. They peppered him. He had, he had essentially one moment that he had to take, and he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. And I look at a guy like Zach Lomax now, and I was saying to Matty before, like, God, it gives me confidence that we've got 100 kilo outside back who rolls his sleeves up and does a lot of work, that is a kick target that I feel confident picking now.
Ran for the most metres of any player on the field.
And
sorry, equal to Hammer. And Hammer made like...
Based on what we've seen this year from Zach Lomax, does that shock anyone?
Oh, we know. Like, the thing is like, if you are being fair to Zach Lomax, he has this in him. Like, he's a bloody freak of nature when it comes to rugby league. So yeah, I thought that he was outstanding, and I think that, like, obviously the try that he scored, what I loved about that is, like, how often do you go into games and you go, all right, we've got these tall wingers, we're going to beat them in the air, and then there's no friggin' kicks over them, and you're like, what the hell are we even selecting them for if we're not going to use them? What I liked about that try is that was similar to Spencer Lenu. He was selected to do a job.
Yeah.
He did the job, catch the ball, score the try.
I love about that try too, and you go back and watch it, like 3 seconds before he scores, Jerome Luai's kicking the ball into knees. The ball's on the ground. It's an offload. Like, it was an off-the-cuff sort of thing where Nico just went, I'm just going to put this in the vicinity. And like when he's playing for the Dragons, I just love the way that Lomax, and this is why I had him in my team originally, he just goes at the game. He might not get it right every time, but he just goes at the game. And once they were down to 12, like, I would have loved to have seen them just give Lomax a bit of a license on 4th and 5th just to come into the middle. And just wherever they put it up, just go for the ball.
Yep.
I feel like it was something we probably didn't utilise enough.
It's funny when I reflect on my like unconscious thoughts. When Hines put that ball up, I don't know about you guys, I was 100% sure he was going to score.
I knew he was coming down.
100% sure. And in that moment when he scored, I like reflected on that thought that I had, and I didn't have him in my original team, and I was critical.
Yeah.
But then I was like, that's why he's here. Not only is he doing all this work, I am so confident watching that he's going to win that aerial battle. And in that moment, I was like, I was wrong.
I don't know what it is but I like when I see him playing for the Dragons and the way he chases those kicks, like, you see a lot of guys that chase through kicks, and I think you can see in their body language, they're like, okay, I'm going to contest with this ball. Lomax, you can see he's just going, I'm coming down with this fucking ball.
Yeah.
Like, that is my ball.
There is a sense, like, it must be his body language, the way he jumps, but there is a sense of, like, in his mind, there's no way he's dropping this ball.
Yeah,
like, he already has it in his
I
hand.
think you see a lot of guys who go, okay, if I can test for the ball and I'm there, that's good enough. But I think Lomax is, if I don't come down with it, this is a failure. I love the intent that he's just going at the game.
And that's probably why he's got so many errors. Because he's all
Exactly
or
why
nothing. He's never taken the safe option.
Because he puts himself in spots that most blokes wouldn't. Like, most guys don't chase that hard to get into those positions.
Yeah, he was outstanding. And this is another stat for him: 96 post contact in Origin.
Holy shit!
96 post contact. This is like, again, we talked about game plans. We talked about nailing game plans. Tedesco, 21 runs, 207 meters. 24 runs, 216 meters. Zach Lomax, 25 runs, 224 meters. So the back three literally ran for 600 and let's just say 40 meters. Like, that's a huge knock from three players. And again, you got to give Madge credit there. A very clear game plan, and they executed it. It's one thing to have a game plan. It's one thing to select a team. It's another thing to actually execute it on the night. So that's a massive win for New South Wales.
Just on that post-contact stat, I just went to last year. Toto had 60, 60, 101, and he's the king of post-contact meters. And Lomax got 96, which is pretty much 5 meters short of Toto's best game last year.
And it's
That's
his
ridiculous.
debut. He looks so comfortable. I think you forgot halfway through the game that Lomax is in his debut.
Yep.
Like, this is his first ever Origin game. So I think we all kind of were like, probably wouldn't have had Lomax in the side, but we also understood why he was there. My reasoning was purely just from not whether he could do it or not. It was just in the big games so far this year, he'd struggled. Like, that was my biggest concern. I knew he could. He had the physical ability to play really well in Origin. It was, though, the big games I'd seen this year, he hadn't been the best. I mean, he's completely killed that narrative. That's dead.
Yeah.
Done in the water. So,
It was interesting.
Wrong.
Like, when we picked our teams the other day, I think I had Lomax, but I didn't have Suaalii, and I think all of you had Suaalii.
We had
and
Suaalii,
no Lomax. Yeah. And my argument was, I don't want to pick both of them. I think it's too much of a gamble. I want to take a punt on one of them, and Lomax was the one that I chose. But and we spoke about it. I think even from the 6 or 7 minutes you saw from Suaalii, he showed he's up to it.
Oh, mate, he would have been like that first run where he bumps Tier, and I was going, this could be fucking.
And once again, I think that you have to give credit to Madge for that. How many times, as a New South Welshman, I know how many times we've brought guys in and they get out there and you just know in the first few minutes, okay, stage probably isn't for you in your career. And, so he's 20 years old.
It's like
That's wild. That's crazy.
He went to Vegas at the start of the year and couldn't buy himself a drink.
So crazy. It's so mental. Like, that's another thing we forget. He's 20.
He's 20. And I mean, like Lomax, as you said, mate, like, he looked like he was made for the Origin arena. Like, he's only 24. He's not like a veteran or anything. And I think this Queensland side, because they're all so young, that they just become the exception, not the example. But 24 to be doing that in Origin in your debut game when, with all due respect to the Dragons, what's the biggest game he's ever played in, Lomax? An Anzac Day game?
Pretty much. And the game before selection. That's really it. So Lomax was outstanding. He obviously, he can build a really nice legacy on that edge there for the Blues.
What about Parramatta sitting there watching that last night?
Okay. Parramatta have got him for unders now.
Huge.
I know.
Parramatta sitting there going, 600 or 700 grand. I will take that every day of the week. Holy, that's
And
unders.
I know he's playing incredible footy on the wing. And I still think there's a world where fullback could be his best spot. I'd love to see him there.
A full preseason there. Be interesting to see if they try it.
Oh, mate, like, what have you got to lose? You might have an absolute gem there.
So what's funny about, and not to harp on about Para, but just, like, they've been crying out for backs. Suddenly in the last month, Lomax is coming. Pensini had the best game of his career the other day. Gutho's come back and killed it, and you got Blaze Talungi just waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Like, they're
Looking good.
They're looking good.
Okay, some other guys. Stephen Crichton. Mate, his defence is like... I think that to be critical of Madge, seeing Suaalii switch sides with Lomax and seeing how he completely shut that side down, I think... And look, granted, a player was sent off. Seeing Critter switch sides and go with Lomax. Now, maybe Suaalii could have done that job. To be fair, though, I did feel in that first 8 minutes or so, Queensland were having a bit of luck down that left side. I mean, even on that play, they made a line break. Hammer made a line break. But when he moved Critter there, even one man down, he shut it down completely. I think next game, game 2, keep Critter on that side with Lomax. and whoever you bring in put on the other side with experience, because I thought Critter's defensive efforts and also his leadership was phenomenal, and his development as a player has just been. And there was a lot of questions around him, even like maybe 12 months ago. Like, yeah, he's a great centre, but is he a leader? Is he a superstar?
Well, it was 12 months ago because he was 18th man in game 1 last year. Campbell Graham gets picked, Campbell Graham was 18th man, and he came in for someone. And then, I don't know, Critter somehow got in the team.
I think Campbell Graham got selected. He was injured. He couldn't train with the team, and he got dropped out.
That was it. And then people were blowing up that Critter got picked. And that was a year ago. Now, he was a lock in this team.
Now, not only is he a lock, I think he's a leader in this squad. Watching that game last night, if I'm a New South Wales Blue coaching staff or fan or whatever, I've identified a leader. Like, he's a guy that I want in this squad for the next 10 years. Because you saw how the boys were reacting to him. You saw the plays he made. His defence is like... He's the best defensive centre in the competition. It was absolutely incredible. I thought Critter had an incredible game.
Yeah, he was huge. He's an automatic pick. And, maybe if Suaalii stays on the field, maybe he does handle himself at right centre. But it's not hindsight or any bullshit like that. We said it all week. We would have had him at right. Well, I would have had him at right centre.
Yeah, we would have moved him across.
I think that just made the most sense. And I would definitely for game 2. I mean, depends who you're going to pick, but I would have Critter out there, and I think it just opens up your option as a left centre, whether it be a Bradman Best if he's back, a Latrell. I don't know what you do, who you go there, but I would be playing him at right centre.
Yeah, I think that he just showed, even a man down, being able to shut down Queensland, showed how good and how important. It's not just his actual tackling and his reads, it's his talk.
Yeah.
His talk. Like, seeing the way Payne Haas reacted to him when I think it was Reece Robson dropped that ball.
Yeah.
Like, that's a leader. There's just something about Critter that seems to be infectious. And there was a few people that questioned why, when we're doing the selection table, we threw out Critter as a potential captain if Jake Trbojevic isn't selected. Now, obviously, you're probably not going to drop Jake Trbojevic. He got selected to captain this series. But I do think if you're trying to start a new era heading into next series, he's got to be on the shortlist for captaincy.
Yeah, you mentioned that when we were sitting there, and we sort of never came back around to it in the show. But yeah, a really good shout. I just think when they're at full strength and you've got Reece Walsh and Hamiso down that edge, I want the best defensive centre I can possibly find. We're lucky enough, in my opinion, to have the best defensive centre. I just think he has to be there, and I'd be challenging Critter. Hamiso is your job.
Is your job.
Just on the captaincy thing.
I mean, obviously, when Cleary comes back, you put fucking...
Well, you know what?
Captain Cleary.
I was going to say, maybe you just let Cleary just be the halfback. And because he hasn't really killed it in Origin yet, maybe you just let Cleary be the halfback and then give Critter the captaincy. I don't absolutely hate it.
At the very least, I think it should be a conversation. I would still go with Cleary because I want it to be Cleary's team. Like, this is your and also we know Critter and Cleary can work together. Maybe you make them co-captains, I'm not sure. But I do think that before this series...
That'd be so mad to do co-captains.
Yeah. Before this series...
Leadership group.
Yeah, 5 captains. Before this series, I think a lot of people wouldn't have even thought of Critter as a captain. I think after watching him on the last night, I think it makes a little bit more sense for him, at least in the conversations. All right, boys. In regards to other, Reece Robson, incredible. Liam Martin's shots were incredible. I thought Angus Crichton was really good. Cam McInnes did his job.
Isn't Liam Martin just unbelievable? Like, watching him the last few weeks at Penrith, just probably playing the worst footy I've ever seen him play. Gets into that arena, plays 74 minutes, and I know he missed a few tackles at the back end because they were just absolutely gassed, but like that shot that he put on where I fucking love that. He was like, there was no part of him touching the ground when he was putting on that shot.
Yep.
He just absolutely flew and put everything into it.
Yeah.
And he just got up and gave him some.
Yeah. I mean, that's
You'll
Origin.
love that.
Yeah,
That's Origin.
I had people message me, why is he talking when he's down 16? He's trying to get his team up.
They're trying to swing momentum.
Like, if he folds and does does nothing, like what's he's trying to swing momentum. He's trying to get something out of his team, and he got fucking close to getting it.
You know what? I'll admit, I don't think I really said that, but like, I was questioning Liam Martin's selection just because he's been playing pretty average this year.
I would have still selected him, but he was under pressure for me.
And I remember thinking the same thing last year. Like, he didn't start the year too well, but then he came out and killed an Origin. All right. But then I thought this year, I don't know, I will never question Liam Martin's selection ever again.
He's got a bit of like Chock Watmo sort of to him. Just however he's going, just pick him. He's going to go in and do a job.
Yep. Just one thing on Angus Crichton. He had 22 runs last night.
I know, he was phenomenal. He was so good. I thought Cam McInnes did his job. He played 48 minutes and he made 41 tackles, 0 misses, and ran for just under 100 metres. I thought he had a pretty good knock. I saw some comments. I would love to get your thoughts. I saw some comments. I thought Isaiah Yeo was pretty good.
Yeah, so did I.
I'm quite surprised people saying that he played poorly. I thought he was bloody good.
I think people might just say that because he threw that intercept, maybe.
Yeah, I thought he played well. I had a few mates that sort of said the same thing, and I couldn't make sense of it. I thought he was good. I thought he was great.
Like, obviously, the intercept, like, yeah, okay. I get you. You're going to be pissed about that, but... Mate,
no, I don't agree. I don't agree at all.
Watching him quite closely, like, mate, the amount of times he bent the line and, finds his front, and I actually thought he was quite good. Only played 47 minutes. He had 15 runs, 125 metres, 44 post-contact, 4 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 30 tackles, only 1 miss. Like, bloody pretty good.
I think he's, as a bench player, I thought he was. I
thought he played his role well. At no point did I feel like he was stepping on toes outside or anything. I thought he was good.
I thought he was so good that I'd consider even starting him. I mean, I know I had him starting initially. Okay, we got to speak about things that we would change and things that didn't go as well. Another thing. I thought Luai in attack was phenomenal. Like, he loves a big game. Like,
loves it. Yep.
Mate, for 10 weeks he's been so quiet. It's been like, I didn't even have him in contention for 10 weeks. And then he just goes bang, hits Origin time, kills it. Yes, he missed a lot of tackles, but we always talk about how not all missed tackles are equal. I thought he was bloody good last night.
And he tried it, like, 12 on 13 for basically the whole game. He was trying shit all game. I loved Luai last night.
That nudge that he put in for Teddy, that was just the perfect play.
How good was that?
For the perfect moment. Yeah.
Okay, Nico Hines. I think, unfortunately, with Mitchell Moses playing as well as he's playing, look, I didn't think Hines had a shocker, not by any stretch, but I do think his kicking game, obviously he kicked for Lomax, which was great, but his kicking game just probably wasn't up to Origin standard. And I would probably be bringing in Mitchell Moses if he's still playing well and fit to go. Yeah,
and it feels incredibly harsh dropping a halfback when you got to play a send-off in the first 5 or 6 minutes. And I get that, but I think the kicks that he selected in certain moments, they just weren't up to scratch for us.
Because he actually had quite a good running game. He ran 29 times, had 161 run meters. So, like, I saw people saying that he had a shocker. He didn't have a shocker, guys. Like, he did not have a shocker. But at the same time, I do feel like a lot of his kicks, because there was pressure from Queensland, they just would land short. They weren't, probably where they needed to land. And to be fair, we identified this before the game.
Yes, 100%.
That's why we wanted a long kicker in the game. Now, guys, so obviously we'd all have Mitchell Moses in, game 2 probably for New South Wales.
I'd be picking Moses, yep.
We have to remember, Mitchell Moses in the first 3 years of his career at halfback was not even close to being selected for Origin. Yep. And so Hines is still in his 3rd year. Although we would bring Mitchell Moses in, I wouldn't completely write Hines off at all. I would keep letting him develop, keep his confidence, keep building. You can even look to DCE. He wasn't ready to be a half in Origin the first 3 years into being a half. So I think it really is down to he's in his 3rd year, he's in Origin, it's the pinnacle. In a few more years, he'll probably be in a better spot to be able to handle the kick pressure and everything that comes with playing 7 for Origin.
Yeah, and I think at this point right now, Nico's a better footballer than he is halfback, which makes sense because he was a dynamic fullback that moved to 7 a couple of years ago. Like, he's still learning his trade there. I would argue it's the hardest trade to learn in rugby league.
For sure.
Well, I was thinking last night, if Luai gets injured in the next 2 weeks, I'd put Nico at 6. I think he'd be great at 6 if Moses at
Well,
halfback.
you look at these numbers, 29 runs, 161 metres. So, like that's friggin' good numbers for Origin. Like, 29 runs, 161 metres, 20 post-contact, 2 tackle breaks. 29 tackles, only 4 misses, and an offload. Compared to Luai, 23 tackles, 9 misses, 4 offloads. So, like...
And he was defending out wide for a bit, Nico, so...
And so, as I said, I don't think he played shockingly by any stretch, but I do think that little bit of extra kicking game that you need in Origin... Like, he just needs a bit of time to work on it.
And as your boy said, Mitchell Moses is kicking the door down. Like, it's as simple as that. It's his time to be the halfback.
Yeah.
But, like, it's crazy how like Origin's a game of millimetres. If that 40-20 goes out from Nicho Hynes and you guys go down and score a try, and obviously he always has that kick try assist as well, we might be looking at Hynes' performance in a totally different light.
Definitely.
I also do think in Nicho's, not his defence, but I don't think they played Nicho ball at all. Like he stayed on that right edge, whether he was told to or not, but he stayed on that right edge pretty much all night.
And that's what I would love to know.
Yeah.
If that's what he was told to do or if I'm not quite convinced either way.
Either way, you don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I probably would lean more towards he was told to stay on that side because I just think that if he wasn't, why would he all of a sudden not play what he's been playing for the last 3 years where he's on the ball constantly?
And especially when you watched the role that Isaiah Yeo played when he came on, like he didn't play his traditional role that he sort of does. He played more as like an out-and-out middle forward to me. So, yeah, I don't know if Nicho was told to sit out there, if maybe Nicho didn't take as much control as they would have liked. I also, as you said, Nicho's a 3-year halfback. He played Origin a couple of years ago. This is his first game coming in as the halfback of this side. He lost his fullback 3 days ago. He got 5 minutes in. His centre got sent from the first. Like, it's a lot to take in for a halfback.
He's got a calf issue coming into camp.
Like, it's new coach. It's just, it is a lot to take in.
And also, look at guys like, we've just been sitting here praising Critter. Critter had a Barry Crocker in his first game of Origin.
Yeah.
So sometimes this takes time. As I said, I'd probably bring Mitchell Moses in just because of the kicking game. I don't think Nicho Hynes had a shocker by any stretch, but at the same time, there were parts of his game that were really good, but the key area that he's really needed, which was kicking, I thought that's where he probably was at around like a 5 out of 10. Probably wasn't good
Which
enough.
is where he has really improved that in his game over the last few years. But once again, he is learning to be a halfback. It might if Mitch Moses had have played that game last week, a week earlier, I would have gone Mitch as my halfback.
I was, to be honest, before I started killing it, I had Mitch at 7 and Hynes at 6.
Yeah.
Because I think that Hynes makes a really good 6 because he's ball running game. So we're probably doing Mitch Moses in. Tedesco, I thought Tedesco's first half was really good. I thought his second half, so the back end of the first half, I think, and the second half, I thought he made a few errors that were just, I don't know, like his ball playing, it's not like it was bad, but he just made some bad decisions with the ball playing and the passing. It looked clunky. Now, maybe it was because he didn't have much time in camp with the players to get used to their timing and their running, but I thought his second half wasn't the best.
Yeah, no, it wasn't great. Yeah. Oh, fuck, I just wanted him to do so well, man.
I know. He opened so well, so well.
The tough thing was, because Suaalii got sent and then Critter moved from left to right, all our shape went right. They obviously hadn't been training with each other because I've got to be honest, it looked ugly. The shape in the second half, whenever it went out wide, like I think it went out a couple of times, it just didn't look great.
So, I think Edwards is back in next game. I think you'd lock it in if he's fit.
Yeah, I'd be putting Edwards back in. He was picked first.
Yeah, I think it is an interesting conversation to have if you're going to go with Mitch Moses. Obviously Teddy's played a lot of footy with Mitch Moses. I wonder if that could play a role. But I think Edwards, especially if he comes out and plays for Penrith in 2 days' time,
mate,
which is another little talking point, which we'll get to.
Yeah, so people, Edwards has been named on the extended bench for Penrith.
Yeah, jersey 23, I think he is.
Mate, if he plays on the weekend, there are serious dramas. Like, that's serious dramas because that's a message that is being sent from Penrith. Like, you should have played Dylan Edwards.
Yeah, and is there anyone that's played through more injuries over the last few years than Dylan Edwards? Watching on Instagram the other day, Nath Cleary, there was a clip they put up about when they arrived. I think it was the 21 grand final against you guys. He said they arrived there and he took his boot off and he was hobbling around the locker room and Nath was sort of like, I was watching him from a distance going, fuck, he's not going to be able to play today. Windsor Clive
with a fucking broken foot. Okay.
I don't think the Clive was that year.
No, it was the year after.
The year after, yeah.
Still played good though.
I ran with you with that one. In my head, I was like, Guru, I'm coming with you, but I don't know. I'm just backing you because we're mates.
I appreciate that.
I seriously in my head, I said, look, he's a mate. I'll just go with him. Look, we go down together, Roo. We go down together, mate.
Yeah, that's Origin footy.
If you're going to fucking get smashed in the comments section, we'll both get smashed in the comments section. Okay. I thought, outside of that one drop ball, I thought Olakau'atu was actually quite good when he come on.
I thought he was great. Besides the drop ball, he was fantastic.
I thought it was great. I do think Hudson Young, through no fault of his own, but I do think he was a luxury that you just didn't need on the bench.
Yeah. I and like we said this last week, and if everything goes to plan, of course, nothing went to fucking plan.
Yeah.
It was chaos. But I would have loved to have just got an idea of what Madge's perfect plan was.
Yeah.
Where to put these guys and whatnot.
Because like some of these minutes, like Cam McInnes, 48 minutes, we know he can play way more than that. Payne Haas, 53 minutes. Djordjevic, 29 minutes. Yo, 47 minutes. Olakau'atu, 23. Spencer Linu, 23. So maybe he was trying to like overload fresh forwards on the field.
Yeah, was it a case of him just trying to turn momentum through the middle with fresh bodies? Like,
because I wrote a key note about this. I actually did really like the gamble that Michael Maguire did before halftime.
yeah.
He basically brought all new fresh bodies on, and you could see Queensland going, holy shit, because he'd already used like 4 or 5 interchange. And you could see Queensland almost in a washing machine going, fuck me, like trying to hold on. And they did really well to hold on. The negative was, though, that it was a big gamble. It was this close to like switching momentum to having a famous victory. Queensland just held on for long enough and then completely blew out New South Wales.
I think that if the gamble he took, if we would have taken all of our opportunities, I think there was a world where it could have paid off.
100%.
We had to get everything right and take all our chances.
And also, it was the right decision. Now, you might go, well, hang on a sec, we got fucking blown out in the back end of the game. You're getting blown out anyway if you don't do something.
Yeah, I think that if we would have taken all of our chances, that we could have really swung the momentum of that game. I think at home, emotion could have potentially got us home in that last 10. But
I was look, as a Queensland fan, I was nervous for a long period in that game. I was not sitting there going, oh, we won this, it's all good.
Yeah. There was a lot of things last night, and this is probably the biggest positive I take out of the night, and hopefully this doesn't age terribly, but a lot of positives I took last night out of Madge. It really was too. Like
they had a game plan. They executed to the best of their ability with on-play less. As I said, we'd make a couple changes here, but if I'm from a Queenslander speaking New South Wales fan, there's something here with this group. I think there's something to build with this group. I really do. I think they should stick with it. Like, even if, let's say the series, you lose the series, like losing the game one, your chances go up like dramatically to lose the series. I don't think mass changes need to be made. I like this group. I like Payne Haas. I like Critter. I like Lomax. Obviously, Suaalii is moving on. I think Luai has done a lot to cement his spot in that 6 jersey if he can, obviously with Cleary. Now, maybe it'll be a Cleary-Moses combo, maybe Cleary-Luai. I like this group of boys. I think they deserve a fair opportunity to build something because there was so much good things to take out from that game.
My thought after the game was, if this was a club game, if this was Rabbitohs, I would have been stoked. Like 38-10, terrible score, but like there was a lot of positives there. It's just a shame that it's a 3-game series. Like that series, that's all it is. There are so many positives to take out of this game. It's just very unfortunate that it's Origin.
Yeah, I was saying to Matty before too, like, as you said, mate, you lose game one. Life's tough.
Yeah.
Life's very tough. I kind of wish that game was in Brisbane because if we had Melbourne and Sydney to come, I'd actually take a lot more. Like going to Brisbane's in what hopefully will be a decider is going to be very, very tough. But if that game was in Brisbane and we still had a Melbourne and a Sydney game to go, I'd give us a sniff because we showed. I think last night we showed more Origin than we have in a long time.
Mate, as I said, I actually thought, and it sounds weird, if you actually listen to this whole conversation, we've been super positive about New South Wales.
Yep.
And then you look at the score and you're going, what the fuck, I got like 38-10.
And when I woke up this morning, I looked at the score, I went,
didn't feel
fuck,
like
I had a great night considering we scored 2 tries.
Yeah, I think there is so much to take away from it. I think it's we have to remember this is a new era, a new coach. Was it 6 debutants or 5 debutants? Allow them time to build something because I do think there is the skeleton, there's a frame of building at least something that can genuinely contend with Queensland over the next few years. Because the concern is if you chop and change again, Queensland have spent another fucking 3 years together. They're not old. Like this Queensland side, outside of DCE, like this is not an old Queensland side. So if you chop and change again, you're bringing in a whole new era against a team that's been together for nearly 5 years after the Maccas. If after the 2-year period, you chop and change.
Can I just say, so he picked this team. We all agreed it was a tough team. Sydney's always low scoring. The MCG a couple of years ago when I walked on the ground before the game. It was an ice rink. It's even dewier and slipperier than Sydney. So I think he might have had those two in mind. So that's why I think he's going to keep a similar team. Just having a look at the odds. New South Wales are $2.49 for the next game. I reckon that's way overs. I personally reckon that's way overs.
Hey, hang on a sec. I just want to rewind a little bit, actually. On Monday's show, we were talking about the odds, and poor old Beaky boy got peppered by the boys saying that it should have been closer. Well, when it got to kick-off, guess what the odds were?
Yeah, they did come in a bit.
It was like $1.80 to $1.98. Just wanted to throw that out there. Hey, not that I remember anything, but I just want to throw that out there.
But yeah, as I said, look, MCG, absolute ice rink. It's the middle of winter. He's going to pick a very, very similar team, play a very similar style. I really like the Blues' chances next game.
Okay, boys, Jake Trbojevic, 29 minutes. Right or wrong call, A, to give him 29 minutes. B, is he physically still at the Origin level?
There's two ways to look at Gerbo. His performance wasn't great. I do wonder, Kempy, the 29 minutes. Did the fact that we were down to 12 and, he is there solely defensively, he's not laterally the fastest guy in the world, did it maybe just come down to he isn't the right guy for this exact moment? Am I talking crazy?
No,
is there
not
a
at
world
all. I personally think that if you look at him just where he's at physically right now in regards to his performance, I probably wouldn't have picked him. But that's not what Jakey brings. There's a cultural aspect that we've just been ranting and raving about the cultural side of the way they played. He was their captain. Now, granted, he only played 29 minutes, but he's the one that's been instilling that all week long.
Yeah.
So you can't just look at Jakey in a vacuum and go, well, okay, he played 29 minutes. He had 5 runs for 37 metres. He made 26 tackles. He didn't miss any. Now, there were times you could hear the ref calling him offside a few times in the first 10 minutes. But as I said, you can't just look at the stats and the physical side of things, because I don't even think Jakey would believe that that's the only reason he gets selected. I don't think anyone believes that. There is a cultural side that I do think he does bring, but is it strong enough to only be playing him 29 minutes, I guess, is a question.
Yeah, and I'll give you the example that I was talking to a mate with last night. When you play touch and it goes to drop off at the end, and you've got to take someone off the field. Yeah. In this situation with that Queensland side that was attacking, who are you going to take off? Who's the just body shape and the way?
There's more space.
There's more space. Yeah. There's I do wonder if that
had a part to play,
because I can't really make sense of it. I assumed he was injured.
Yeah.
Then when he came on with 4 minutes to go, I sort of went, "Hold on, what's going on here?" But that's the only way that I can sort of make sense to it, that this game, they got out there and it was faster than they expected. They were down a player. He just needed to bring impact on the game.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It does, because as you said, there is more space around the ruck, and you don't want players that aren't mobile in the ruck area with that. Whereas when there's less space, you want the guy that can make 1,000 tackles but doesn't need to move as much laterally.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I've got no idea. But I can't really make sense of it.
What do you reckon?
Any other way?
Matty?
Yeah, I hope that's right, because if he got picked as captain, why are you playing him for 29 minutes? That can't.
To be honest, the more you think about it, it has to be right.
It has to be right.
I think it has to be what happened.
And if you look at Hammer's, I think it was his first or second try. I know Jakey was gassed, right? And he's never going to keep up with the Hammer. And
he was still chasing, to his credit.
Jake Trbojevic is not someone that gives up, right?
Yeah.
Ever. And because it looked like, just to the naked eye, that he was jogging, obviously he wasn't. He was going as hard as he can. Obviously he wasn't. That makes you think, all right, Matt just seen that, we just need to take him off because it's 12 on 13. And my first instinct was, what the hell's Jake doing? But then I thought, it's Jake Trbojevic. He's obviously like out on his feet right now. So I think that has to have been the reason.
And I would love to know if that is the reason, which is the only thing I can make sense of. I reckon there would have been part of Jake that would have gone, yeah, I get it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look,
I get it. Like,
no
we're not going to win this game by just grinding out through the middle. We're going to have to take punts, put our explosive players on, use our interchanges on those guys. So from that point of view, I can make sense of it. Does he get picked for game 2?
I think so. As a captain, I think you'd have to pick him.
Yeah, I just think the optics alone of, if we're not picking Teddy, you're dropping out those 2 recent captains.
Guru, I think what you said to me in the hallway was perfect. What would you say? Like, even though Jake only played 29 minutes, it's like the best we've kind of like the toughest and grittiest we've looked.
Yeah, and I think you
ages.
have to give some credit to the captain for that. That
And
obviously,
that's what I'm talking about, the cultural side
Yeah.
of things. Like, it's not just a physical thing he brings. Now, look, I will say, if Michael Maguire genuinely picked him to only play him 29 minutes, I think that's an incorrect selection. I think that is the wrong call. But if he picked him to play longer minutes and he realised, okay, we've lost a player, it's going to be, we need expansive footy, we need guys that can, try things and offload and all that kind of stuff, then I can understand it. But as I said, I think most New South Wales fans would go, you know what, we had a fucking red hot crack. Like, we never gave up. You have to give credit to Jakey for that. You have to, as in, like, at least some credit to Jakey for that.
Yeah, and you know what? If that is I would love to know for sure if that was Madge's reasoning. I respect Madge for it because that's a fucking big call.
It's a big
and he
call.
knows he's going to get criticised for it. He knows that everyone's going to go 29 minutes. What the fuck happened there? But if that was the reasoning for it, I can understand that. And yeah, I think he deserves some credit for that.
Yeah.
It's a big call.
What I like about Madge's selections and what he's doing is it is clear as to what he's trying to build, at least.
Yeah.
Now, whether I disagree or agree with certain decisions, what I do agree with is the overarching message. And now I want to talk about something I do disagree with. And this is more of a preference of coaching style. And if you've listened to this podcast for quite a while, you know I've actually been quite vocal about this for a long time. So they finished the game. New South Wales have ripped and teared. And he was had them around in a huddle, sitting around in their chairs, still in their kit and that for 30 minutes after the game, still giving him a lecture. And I was just like, bro, these boys have ripped and teared. The last thing they need is a 30-minute just sitting there getting, talk to. Surely, when you get them back in camp or, back at the hotel or whatever, that's where I go. Sometimes I think Madge can be a little bit too intense where it almost works in the opposite direction. I didn't like that part of it. I thought he should have just said, boys, you worked your asses off. Go, relax, chill. We'll get back together and we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, look, I haven't been in those scenarios. You'd know more about that than me.
It's just coaching. Honestly, it's just coaching preference. The guys want a premiership.
And I think that, when you look at, I heard some of the commentators talking about it, and I wasn't sure who said it, but I think it might have been Freddie that did say, look, if you try and coach like someone else, it's not going to work for you. Madge has got to be. Madge, whether that's the right decision, wrong decision, I don't know, but yeah, I'm not quite sure what to say about that, to be honest with you, because I haven't been in those high pressure environments.
It's just a preference. It's just a preference. For example, I'm used to the Wayne style of coaching.
Exactly right. Yes.
So Wayne would have walked in, he would have been, boys, he's fucking unbelievable. What a gutsy effort. We can build on that tomorrow. And don't get me wrong, Madge might have said that, but I was just sitting there going, bro, that's the one area of Madge's coaching style I've never been able to agree with is that too intense, too long. And in saying all of that, New South Wales looked as tough as they've ever looked.
Yeah,
So
and they
maybe
responded to him. He had them in there at halftime in an absolute dire situation that it should have just been a bend over job, really.
Yeah.
And they fought back. They fought for Madge last night. So whether they were there too long, I don't know. I can't comment on that, but he's getting something out of them.
Okay, Payne Haas, how do we think he went? I thought he was really good.
I thought he was good. We spoke yesterday, mate. He can have a great game without going 100 metres. I think people get used to these stats of 200 run metres when he's running through NRL sides, and Origin's different. Origin's even heaps more different when you're playing with 12. When you look at the squad they picked, we said it during the week, Payne Haas was obviously the alpha in that forward pack. He wasn't the captain, but he was the alpha in that pack. No shit, Queensland were going to try and target him, try and limit him. Same as the grand final last year. Fisher Harris, Spencer Leniu, they went at him. I think they kept him to 150 metres, but it was a cracking 150 metres.
Yeah.
You don't have to run 200 metres to have a good game.
And I thought also, when stats aside, he still ran for over 100, but stats aside, when you just watched his intent when he ran, he was in Origin alpha mode. There was an aggressive edge to him that I really liked. So I thought he was great.
I think he made 40 tackles.
42 and he only missed one.
Yeah.
Mate, that's in Origin football when you're down a player and you're the size he is, that's enormous.
We'll put it this way. He made 42 tackles, he missed one. Cam McInnes made 41 tackles and he missed 0. So, Payne Haas, the size he is, making the same amount of tackles essentially as Cam McInnes is crazy. So, I know the score is 38-10, but overall for me, I was impressed with New South Wales. I think there's definitely a foundation to build on. Most of Michael Maguire's decisions, I think, worked. I think regardless of the result, I would give Madge a pass mark so far for his coaching, for his selections, and I would give most of the players a pass mark in regards to their performance.
Yeah, I completely agree. I give Madge a pass for this. I think the thing that I liked the most, Kempy, was that, and we always say Origin, like you get punched in the face, it's how you respond to it. Like Madge got beat to a pulp early.
And he responded.
And I thought he responded so well.
Yep.
Which is what I love to see.
I'm with this. I think 38-10, I can't believe that was a score. Obviously, the last 15 minutes was a bit diabolical, but as you said, it was a risk that we took in the first half that led to that. It didn't reflect the game at all. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Madge, he had to adjust in like it's never really been done before. A send-off in the 7th minute, never been done before.
Never been done.
So credit to him.
And like if you have a look straight after the send-off, like I think it was Hammer that scored the next try, like it was Murray Tuolungi lining up with 14 Queenslanders who's going to put the ball down. Like it looked like that Origin series of 21 or whatever it was, where Turbo on the shoulder. Like, but as soon as Madge got them in the change room, was able to have some impact on them.
Yep.
They came out and played like an Origin team.
We'll put it, I don't think any New South Wales player had a shocker. Like I don't think anyone had a shocker. Like I think that yes, there were players where you could go. Like for example, we'd probably make some tweaks. Our tweaks at the moment, and we'll have to let the dust settle. But my tweaks at this stage, it would be probably Moses in for Hines, Edwards in for Teddy, and it would be probably, unfortunately, Hutto Young, just because you don't need that extra forward, I'd be bringing in Matty Burton or Connor Watson. Those are the only tweaks I'd be making at the moment.
Yeah, I think Hudson Young missing out is rough as guts, but it's just about team fit.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with his performance, or anything that he did. It's purely just because of...
You could find his 23 minutes somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly, and cover certain things.
Yeah.
To be honest, if Olakau'atu was the one that didn't get much minutes and the game didn't really fall for him, I'd be saying probably the same with Olakau'atu. It has nothing to do with how Hutto played.
We're going to need to find a centre as well, because Suaalii's
So
won't be
we'll
available.
see form over the next few weeks. As I said, Nicho Hines, I didn't think he played poorly, but at the same time, I just think that there's parts of his game that he still needs to develop to get to that Origin level. I think he will get to that level. I just don't think maybe just yet he's there yet.
Yeah. You mentioned before, Birdo, 18th man. Could he be our left centre? Like he was my left centre that I picked before.
Yeah, probably. You know what? And then maybe you could have a 4-forward bench if you really wanted to, like if you were desperate for it.
I'd still have Connor there, personally.
So then you could keep Hutto. But so I'd only be making 2 or 3 changes. And also, those 2 or 3 changes aren't like me going, oh, that was a shocker. Get him out of here. Like, no disrespect, but there have been past years for New South Wales where I've gone like this. This player's had a Barry Crocker.
Yeah.
Like so they're the changes we'd make. Now onto the Maroons. Got to be quick here. Look, funnily enough, like they probably only played 20 minutes of genuinely good footy. I will say, for all the positive we just spoken about with New South Wales, there are still concerns around their ability to score points when they do get field position. That they don't have the same strike power. I mean, there's actually like a quite a big gap between the strike power of Queensland and New South Wales, and I think that was on show even in the first 10 minutes where Queensland made 2 line breaks in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that's concerning.
Yeah, and you sort of said it before, and like it just sounds so simple, but the speed difference between the two sides
It is actually like it's night and day.
Like,
Genuine night and day.
It is wild. Like it's just crazy, and that's where I think Sydney. I hope Matty's right that Melbourne will be a bit of a slower track, but that's what worries me so much about going to Suncorp. Where it's a dry track and you can move the football.
Yep.
That's a scary prospect.
Yeah, because like that first 10 minutes, I was sitting there going, this might be a long night for New. If Queensland hold the ball, there's going to be a long night.
Well, it should have been a long night
because like the slickness of their movement.
Yep.
And watching Hammer just go, like just hit the afterburners. I was a bit concerned, but to New South Wales' credit, they ground their way back into the game. So the positive for Queensland is they got plenty more gears left in my opinion. I think that there's probably only a couple of players that I thought really had poor games for Queensland though. I thought Valentine Holmes, man, another 2 errors. Like he does what he honestly he did what he did at club. He has really tough, hard carries, and you love to see it. But he's still just got those couple of errors that he probably needs to sort out. He had 3 errors on the night. I think only 2 of them, though, were just cold drops. I thought Suaalii did some good things, but then got a bit excited and started to obviously look for that forward pass, and then he tried to offload. So that can be cleaned up. It's just about concentration. In regards to game plan, though, I do think that they were probably at about a 7 out of 10 as to what they want. I thought the first 10 minutes we saw what they were probably going to play like. Then they fell off the cliff for about 40 minutes. And then I think in the last 15 minutes, sorry, not even that, the last probably 20 minutes, they got into a rhythm, and that's where we saw probably what Queensland were trying to do for most of the game.
Yeah, they'll obviously be happy with getting the win, but I don't think Slater will be overly impressed with their performance.
He wasn't in the press conference, to be honest.
Not at all. So, and part of me wants to say, mate, player gets sent off on the other side of the field. It's hard to sort of keep that level, but it's Origin.
Yeah.
And that's the expectation that I know Billy Slater would have for this side. And you could even hear it, mate, in Cam Smith's voice when he was talking throughout that game as well. Like, they have a certain level you have to meet. They didn't do it last night. They did enough to win, which full credit to them. But that is the other thing that does alarm me, that they won and they wouldn't be happy with their performance going into the next game.
Yeah, that's scary.
As I said, that first 10 minutes to get 2 line breaks like that, it's like, oh shit, like that's where they can play it.
I didn't think they played particularly well, but I do think they won some key moments, like that 40-20 that Cherry Evans was ridiculous.
Nico Hines nearly kicks one, and DCE goes, watch this, bruh.
That is such Queensland to do that. I thought, look, DCE got man of the match. Hammer was my man of the match, but his try saver on Spencer Leniu, that was incredible. They just won some really key moments. So, and that's what Origin is, isn't it? It's about winning those key moments.
Yeah, Hammer scored 4 tries for me in that game.
Yeah, with the Spencer Leniu, Hamiso, he is...
I don't know if we mentioned it or not, or maybe I missed it, but just also that tackle that Reece Robson made. That was a fucking enormous play.
Mate, Reece Robson was so good for me.
If Reece Robson stops 10 metres away, no one notices, no one cares.
He had 2, Robson. He did that one on the goal line. And then remember when Liam Martin smacked Hopgood the next play? Robson forced it. Robson was incredible. Anyway, back to Queensland.
Sorry, but
Just didn't give you an hour or whatever. Can I get 10 minutes for Queensland? Is that all right? Hamiso, it is absurd what he's done in Origin already.
He's not even the fullback.
Sorry?
He's not even the fullback.
It is crazy what he's done in Origin already. And, if I'm being honest, I know it's hyperbolic, but it's comparable to some of the outside backs during that run of 8 in a row. I truly believe Hamiso has played nearly as good as some of those outside backs that were a part of that 8 in a row in his first few games, his first, whatever it's been, 8 games or 7 games in Origin.
He's played 5 games. Fuck. He scored 8 tries. It feels like he's been around for ages. He hasn't been. He was a bench utility for the Cowboys 18 months ago.
How many tries what's the most tries? 16 or something like that?
I'll check.
By GI? And then
I think it's 18.
Darv's second. He's already scored 8 in 5 games.
And how old is he? 22? And he's locked into that side moving forward. I think for the next decade, Hamiso doesn't have to worry about whether he's going to get selected or not.
If he stays injury free, he's pretty much guaranteed to break that record.
Yeah, 18.
18. So he just needs 10 more tries to equal it.
He's played 5 games. Holy jeez.
And that's what I mean. I know we're in the moment, and we always look back on the past as the greatest, and you can never compare the current players to the great players of the past. But I just have to say, Hammer in Origin, his first 5 games are as good as you could get. How could you get much better in your first 5 games?
And you know what? The 8 tries in 5 games is incredibly impressive, but I don't know what he did last night, but didn't he also miss 2 tackles in his first 4 games or something?
I think it was 1, and he was marking Tom Trbojevic for a lot of them.
And I'm happy to own it. Fuck, I remember when you guys picked him to mark Turbo, I just went,
yeah,
what?
I remember laughing, going, oh,
sweet,
good luck, Hammer.
Yeah, Turbo, $1.80 ATS, sweet. I'll cash that now,
mate. Guess what? Missed no tackles again, which is fucking outstanding. So these are his stats, Hammer. And he's, 22 years old, 5th game of Origin, 3 tries, 14 runs, 224 metres, 31 post contact, 2 tackle breaks, a line break assist, 4 tackles, 0 misses, 0 errors. Mate, he is something special. He is truly just a freak of nature. And his ability to be in in the right spot at the right time. Because it's not like, when you see guys like Teddy or Edwards, it's pure effort and just always being around the ball whenever you need to be. It's like Hammer isn't a guy that goes and has like 30 runs a game or anything like that. And yet any time the moment is big, guess who's there? It's Hammer. He's right there, ready to go.
And you know what else from his career so far? He's played 5 games. He's lost 1. The only game he lost was a dead rubber. So every game that has actually mattered, he's stood up and delivered and killed it in all of those as well. Like it's crazy.
Words can't describe how good his first 5 games are. It's like, seriously, as I said, I compare it to some of the outside backs, their first 5 games through that immortal period, like that 8 in a row period. That's how good he's been.
So yeah, like if you have a look at his record in games that are not dead rubbers, so games that are on the line, he's 4 games, 7 tries.
Bro.
And not only that, like last year in the World Cup or the Pacific Nations, he killed it again. Like every level he goes up, he just goes up another level. He's so freaking good.
He's so good. It is absolutely just a pleasure to be able to watch a guy like Hamiso and some of his tries, they're not just like falling over the try line we're talking about here. We're talking about gliding through, like just burning people, footwork, offending, like everything. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Like for a bloke that does a celebration during Origin in a try when we're getting beat up, I still find it hard to dislike him.
Yeah.
He's a pleasure to watch.
I will say, like, I feel like the 8 in a row side was easy to hate him.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like this side, for some reason, maybe because it's social media now, so you kind of know them a little bit better. But I do hear a lot of New South Welshmen being like, obviously we hate Queensland, but it's hate. Like, for example, I messaged you boys. I was like, man, New South Wales must hate Ben Hunt because that bloke, he fucking just comes on and ruins games for you.
And I'll be honest, when you said that, I almost thought, fuck, that's a dumb comment. Because I just respect the guy so much.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but I was like, it's such a dumb fucking comment. Like, I've got so much respect for Ben Hunt, it's not even funny. But, like, I get from a Queensland perspective why you would think we all fucking hate him. But
Whereas on the other side, my mate Eric last night literally said, I had a dream a few weeks ago that I bashed Will Chambers, and it was the best thing ever. Like there was so like that Will Chambers, Nate Miles, so like there were so many hateable guys in that team.
Was hated by New South Wales. Even Thurston, who we all respect, was disliked by New South Wales.
Like Slater, hated.
Like, so it is interesting how this generation is quite liked by New South Wales. Okay. Yeah, so Hamiso was outstanding. Selwyn Cobbo, when he came on and did what he did, I'm not even from New South Wales, and I had PTSD from Greg Inglis. Like, I'm sitting there going, that looks like Greg Inglis incarnate, just coming back to life in an Origin jersey and steamrolling a New South Welshman. I don't know. How did you boys feel? I know it hurts to talk about.
Yeah, it was tough. Sorry, I was actually just distracted by looking at Hamiso's games so far in his career at centre. He's played 24 games at centre. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 of them have been in the rep arena.
Wow.
So he's only played 11 named to start at centre. Might have played more.
Mental.
It's crazy. As far as the Cobbo GI thing, I'm not even going to answer that. That's fucked.
Yeah, that hurts, but it's right. Like he was picked on the bench. It's like it's like in cricket, number 3 batsman. It's like you could go out facing the new ball, or you can go out facing a ball in third. Like you don't know what your role is, and that's what Cobbo had to do. But he just slipped into that spot and just absolutely killed it, and not even slightly surprised that he did.
When they were lining up at the start of the game, the anthem was on and everything, and they flashed across and it just went past Selwyn's body. I just went, oh, fuck, mate. What are we talking about? He's fine.
Yeah, he's so big. When he got in the overs, he bumped and then just like cruised. I'm just going far out. Like that is unbelievable.
He's unreal.
Selwyn was outstanding. I will say though, to nitpick, I thought defensively he was getting fouled out a little bit in the centres there for a period. I thought some of his reads, he was struggling to kind of get his timing off Dearden, which he actually mentioned in the post game. He said, the first half I was just getting used to Dearden. Second half he felt more comfortable.
With all due respect to Selwyn, I think he's one of those guys that playing against 12, it's probably not good for
Almost
Selwyn.
like throws him off a little bit.
I think it throws him off, yeah.
But yeah, he was outstanding. We've got to talk about it. Billy Slater, looks like the smartest man in the history of mankind. Like, there's a lot of people going, what, a back on the bench? I know obviously we were all pro back on the bench, but a lot of people going, mate, waste of a spot. What are you doing? 8 minutes in, boom, outside. Not a 6 or a 7 goes down. Specifically, outside back, a key one goes down. And it's almost like, obviously devastated while she went off. And as we said, I hope he's okay, which he seems to be. But a lot of people go, all right, all good. Hammer goes back there. Selwyn goes in. Like, imagine the stress Queensland would have felt if we didn't have any outside backs on the back. We would have been like, oh shit.
Could have been a nightmare quickly. Yeah.
What an incredible decision by Billy Slater.
It was a smart call. I don't want to pour cold water over it, but it would have been smarter if it was just an injury. Because Cobbo, if he just say he put him as 18th man, he could have got activated. But yes, it was a smart call.
Are you saying actually it would have been smart to put him at 18th because then he could have got a free?
No. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that at all.
He just had like a drop of cold water.
I can't.
These guys.
I can't give him that much credit. Sorry, but no, I always thought it was the right call. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Harry?
Yeah, no, it's the right call. Yeah,
Okay.
Full credit to him.
All right, full credit to Billy. Okay, some other performances. I thought Xavier Coates was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was good. It's just such a weird game of football, isn't it? That like all these Queensland players play well, but you're just sort of like, how much do you? It's hard to sort of
wrap them up because of the one,
too much because obviously there was 12, and here comes the big show.
Oh, the boys will be hurting.
That's a sad look.
Oh, that's a sad fucking state of affairs. I've been sucking off New South Wales for the last hour.
I haven't heard a single suck. I haven't felt a single lick of it, mate.
All right.
Why are you in maroon?
But
Is this a bet or something?
Like, did you lose a bet? It looks maroon to me.
It looks maroon from here. Okay.
Tom's walked in from Hello Sport, if anyone's wondering.
Let us know because
it's Hello Sport. Sorry.
I'm so upset.
that looks maroon.
Bounce out. Shut the fuck up. I'm wearing maroon.
Oh,
I'm tangled.
Let us know in the comments section. Does that class as maroon?
You're trying to say it's maroon. Brown. It's brown. It's a hangover poo brown.
Now, in regards to, I thought Paddy Carrigan's first 20 was phenomenal. I thought he absolutely ripped and teared. I think he was at 140 metres in the first half, 120 maybe.
Yeah, he was leading the meters at halftime.
He was outstanding. And that's one thing where I go, that's probably something Queensland had that New South Wales don't, is that a 13 that both sides of the ball has a lot of impact, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't think Pat Carrigan ever plays a bad game of Origin.
Fucking
like
loves
has
it.
Or will.
He may never play.
I think he's just made for it.
Okay. I thought Harry Grant, a couple of errors, even though he was dangerous and he did worry a bit. I thought he had a couple of errors that could have been better. I'll tell you what, Rue's got to go. So we're going to speak more about Queensland with the Hello Sport boys. So apologies for people that just listened to the review, but later in the day we'll be releasing the DMP, which will speak a bit more about Queensland because the Rue's got to get out here.
And good luck to the New South Wales women tonight. The real Origin kicking off tonight. 8:05.
And you got any Origin stuff coming out or anything today?
No, I'm going home to sleep, Kempy.
Okay, going home to sleep.
I'm done.
He's done. All right, we'll let him go. Make sure to grab a case of Bloke Beer from your local. There are some hoodies left as well. Bloke Beer is a beer for blokes that turn up, just like Queensland did last night. And we'll go fuck ourselves.
And shout out to the people that came to the live show last night. It's good to see you all.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was incredible. Great night. And I'll see you in a second on the DMP.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.